In America today, 7.1 million people find themselves either behind bars or under the supervision of federal authorities. That's 1 in 32. 1 in 32 American citizens either behind bars or in probation. Now there's also 2.1 million that are behind bars. That's 1 out of 100. Now why do I tell you this? Everybody knows that our prison system has become a complex and complicated issue. If you've been reading articles lately or seeing what the federal government and legislature is trying to do, we need to make some changes. We need to look at how we incarcerate, who we incarcerate, and what we do with them when they're in there. I want to tell you a story about a prisoner I met via email. Talib Shakir wrote me and said he'd found a copy of my book, Becoming a Professional Life Coach. I'm Dr. Pat Williams, and having written that book and several articles, I was amazed to read this email from Talib that he found my book to be useful in his life behind bars. It shocked me in a good way. And the more I read his letter, the more I realized how using the principles of professional coaching was changing his life. He had started a group with 8 other men in the prison, and when we talked to them one night about how using the book and the chapters of the book were helping them make changes in the way they related to other prisoners, the way they related to their family when they came to visit, reducing their feelings of conflict and angst, and giving them even a life purpose behind bars, we decided, me and the owner of my coaching school, the Institute for Life Coach Training, that we would donate 8 coaching curriculums to those men, and it would be taught by the assistant warden who originally handed Talib my book. She was also a trained coach and found that this group was being very effective for these men. When I went to their graduation in last year, I was amazed that there I was to give a keynote speech to 80 people by invitation only of the prisoners, but brought tears to my eyes when they told their stories of how the coaching in each chapter of the book had impacted the way they relate, the way they live, and the way they work on themselves from the inside out. That metaphor is not lost on them, that they are in the inside hoping to get out, but also understanding that the changes that they have made come from the inside out. Another woman named Lashonia also had read my book, handed to her by the same assistant warden a few years before in a women's prison, and she is now out. After 20 years in prison, she relates how the coaching, personal coaching, and the principles of professional coaching helped her change her life, turn her life around. She now works for the mayor's office in Washington, D.C., and her job is to help those returning citizens, those who get out of prison and are re-entering society, so that they don't go back. You may or may not know that the recidivism rate for prisoners returning to prison is between 70 and 80%. The cost of keeping someone in prison for life until they die, $1.8 billion. So you can see that not only is there a cost factor in dollars, but there's a human cost factor. What can we do that can help people who get out of prison reclaim their life and not go back? This documentary that we want to make really has 3 aspects to it. Number 1, how can coaching help those within prison who may never get out change the way they relate, change the way they live out the rest of their life? But perhaps more hopefully, what can happen with those who get out? And how can coaching from former prisoners who have learned the principles of personal life coaching coach those who get out to learn about job creation, job seeking, reclaiming their life, frankly redesigning their life, because it's not the same as when they went in. And the third aspect is to coach those who maybe are first offenders, go into diversion programs. This can be either youth or first-time offenders as adults, so that they never get behind prison walls. We need to do something different with those that we penalize, who need to be penalized for crimes they committed, but can be rehabilitated. Have we lost the term rehabilitation in our prison system? Here's how you can help. We want to make this documentary so that we can educate those who can help the cause, so we can find a way to spread this coaching system throughout the prison system, and so that we can find ways to help those returning to their society use coaching principles to redesign their life. We can do better. Won't you help us?